Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angie. So today I'm going to be doing the video that I intentionally started my channel to do. I started my channel wanting to make this video and put it out for the world to see, to hope that it could help somebody in the position that I was in. And I haven't had the strength to do it yet. That is why my channel has been up for 7 months and I still haven't done it. But I'm finally think I'm ready to do it today. So this could possibly be a trigger warning for somebody that has been in these positions about suicide and rape, pregnancy. So if you are triggered by that, I would definitely click off of this video now. And I'm going to try to get through the story without getting emotional, but it can definitely be emotional. So if any of that stuff triggers you, I would definitely click out. Also, there are a few details I'm going to be leaving out just because there are some details that I'm just not ready to talk about yet. So I will be leaving a few minor details out and talking about the rest. So I have talked about it a little bit in my previous videos, my Draw My Life and my pregnant at 14 and 15 video. I have talked a little bit about it and I have touched on the subject, but I haven't really put my full story out there and what actually happened and what the full story is. I've just put little bits and pieces out there, and if it can help somebody that is in the position I was in, and if this story can help somebody else, I am willing to share it, and that is why I'm sharing it today. So I'm sorry, I'm really nervous, so I'm shaking, and I'm also sick, so if you can hear that in my voice, I'm sorry. And yeah, so let's just get into the video. So when I was 14 years old, I decided to start making some really bad choices, and I started drinking, smoking, a lot of just bad choices, partying, and just really getting involved with the wrong crowd and the people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with, and becoming friends with people that weren't trustworthy. And I'm sorry, I'm just really trying to breathe and trying not to get emotional because I just want to tell my story without crying 20 times through it. So I'm just trying to like breathe. So if you hear me just stop and go, then I'm just trying to breathe. During making those bad choices, I got involved with a guy, not relationship wise. I just became friends with him, and he was also making very bad choices at the time too. And not a lot of people knew I was friends with him because my super close friends, the ones that came and hung out at my house and knew my family and all of that, didn't really know I was involved with this type of stuff. And so not a lot of people knew that I was friends with him. And in the midst of making all of those bad decisions, one of those bad decisions was going over to his house one day when he asked me to. I was wearing gray shorts and a t-shirt. Not that that matters because it absolutely doesn't. But I was wearing gray shorts and a t-shirt, and I went to go over to his house to have a few drinks, which was not responsible of me at all in any way. It was a very bad idea. And when I got there, he was playing video games, and we both had a few drinks of Fireball, and he raped me. And I'm not gonna go into too many details about that, except the fact that I made it very clear that it was not okay. And I screamed and kicked and scratched and made it very clear that I didn't want that to happen. When he was done, he told me that I could leave. And I walked out and I walked home, and I got in the bath. I started a bath and I sat in the bath, and I just remember feeling so disgusting. I felt so dirty. Like, I couldn't get myself clean enough. No matter how many times I washed, I just felt like I wasn't clean. I just could not get myself to be clean. And I left thinking that it was my fault, and I left thinking that I could have done something to prevent that, and that it was completely my fault. At this time, I was struggling with depression and anxiety. And one day, me and my mom were in a car ride. It was a few days after it happened, and we were on a car ride up to a different city to go see my grandma. And we were arguing like we often did. Our relationship was not very close just because I was such a not listening type of kid, and I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I just wanted to party and do all of that bad stuff. And so our relationship wasn't the best. And we're on a car ride up, and eventually I just broke down crying, and I told her what had happened. And when we got to my grandma's, I told my grandma, and those were the only two people I told. And they made me get a pregnancy test, which I've said this in my previous pregnant at 14 and 15 story. They made me get a pregnancy test, and it came out negative. And I was really relieved that it was negative, and a baby is never a bad thing, but I was really, really relieved that it was negative and that I didn't have to raise a child that was his, and I didn't have to make a decision about it. I was just really relieved. And then a few more days went by, and I went back to school with him, and I started to feel off, and so I decided on my own to go get a pregnancy test, and it came out positive. And my mindset was to just ignore it, kind of, because nobody in my grade was pregnant or even had a baby. And I think I said this in one of my previous videos that I was in 8th grade, but I was just starting 9th grade, and I had went back to school with him, and I found out I was pregnant, but I just wanted to ignore it as best I could because I didn't think it was true. I thought that you could have false positives. And then after a long time of ignoring it, a couple weeks, I started to miscarry, but I didn't know that I was miscarrying because I didn't know what that was. And so I just played it off as a period. And in the back of my mind, I think that I knew, and I think that I had a feeling, I guess. And it's hard to describe because you can't really remember your feelings from back then, but I think that I had a feeling that I was, but I played it off as if I was having a period, and I just told myself, you're having a period, you're fine, whatever, just ignore it. And then I went back to school, and this guy started slapping my butt in the hallways and started saying very nasty things to me in the hallways of school. This was my first year in high school, and I believe it was like at the very beginning of the year, if not like towards the middle. On a little side note, this was a very traumatic event, and there are things that I have just blocked out and things that I don't think about anymore. And so some of the little details are harder for me to remember just because I was in such a state of wanting to block everything out of my head that it's harder for me to remember now. And so, anyways, he started doing those things, and I told my mom, and she came into the school and talked to the principal and the cops, and they said that they wanted me to proceed with charges and, go forward with it. But there was no evidence because it was weeks later, and I told my mom that I forgave him, and I never told him I forgave him. But for my peace, I had to forgive him, and I just told my mom I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to ignore it, and I wanted to just move on with my life because I couldn't move on. But I did end up dropping out of that high school, and that is when I switched to online school just because I couldn't bear to be in that school with him. So I dropped out of that school and I went to online, and he eventually started the rumor that we had sex. Not that he raped me, but we had sex, and a bunch of people knew, and I tried combating it with the fact that he raped me, but it was just a lot, and everybody was coming at me, and I just had to leave the school. I just could not do it anymore. I was too overwhelmed, and so I had to leave the school. And now I realize how many things that I missed out on by not going to public school, and I really wish that I would have stayed, but I knew that my mental health couldn't have handled it. Oh gosh, okay, sorry. And so my mom switched me to online school and put me in therapy, and the therapy honestly would have helped if I was open-minded, but I was just really closed off and just wanted to be sad and wanted to be messed up inside. I didn't want to be helped, and that was the worst that I did for myself, was not wanting to be helped. I didn't want anybody to help me, and I didn't want to be fixed. I just wanted to be broken and sad and hurt. And then it got to be a little too much, and April of 2017, I tried to take my own life by taking a bunch of pills. And my mom found me unconscious on the couch. And she called 911, and they came and they took me to the hospital. And I was put in the hospital for a few days. And, you know, I just remember coming in the ambulance and feeling super drowsy, like I could barely open my eyes. And the doctors managed to save my life, which is truly a blessing from God, and I am so thankful for that. And I wish I never did it in the first place, but I am so thankful to still be here even after I chose that. I'm just really thankful for that. I thought that was the only way out, and I thought that nothing was ever gonna get better, and I thought that that was the only option, the only thing to do. And I remember waking up and seeing my little sister, my little brother, and my mom. And my little brother came up to me. My sweet little tiny brother, guys. He was probably 4 at the time. And he comes up to me. He said, Angela, please don't do that again. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart because there is just so much to live for, and there is so much that you haven't experienced and that you haven't seen yet. And there's so many other options than that. Never think that that is an option, because it's not. I didn't know God, and I didn't know what I would be missing out on. And I broke my family's heart. And I did that on my best friend's birthday. She's actually my cousin, but she's my best friend, and I did that on her birthday without knowing it, and that ruined her. And now my almost killed myself day, almost died day, is on her birthday, and I can't ever take that back. And you are so important, and you are made in God's image, and there is so much more that you have to experience. Your wedding and kids and just beautiful moments that you don't want to miss. And right now may be hard because it sucks and some things happen to you that you think you're never going to get over, but you get better, and it seems like it lasts forever, and it takes forever to move on, and it seems like that, but it gets better. And if you just trust in God, God has got you. And you were put on this earth for a reason. And I love you and I want you to stay here. And if nobody else tells you that, I'm going to be the one to tell you that because I want you here. And you are so important. And you have so many things that you need to accomplish before it's your time. You have so many things you need to see. And life is beautiful. And it can get messy and it can get ugly, but it is so beautiful. And this isn't it. That's not your story. Don't do that to your family. Don't do that to your friends. Don't do that to God. I thought that this was it. The span of 14 years, that was it. That was all I needed to experience. And now 3 years later, I have been through 3 more pregnancies. I got married. I met the love of my life. I get to raise this beautiful human every single day. And I got to experience being pregnant with her and got to experience holding her for the first time and seeing her. And now I get to raise her every day, and I would have missed that. I would have missed all of that. And believe me when I tell you that this isn't it. You have so much more. And there is more in store for you. There is more that you're going to experience, and you just have to get past this dark phase. And if you need to see a therapist, see a therapist. And if you want to try to connect with God, connect with Him, and He will meet you there. And don't be afraid to open up to your mom or your dad or your grandparents or your older siblings, because they can help. Or a teacher or a friend or somebody. Don't be afraid to open up. Don't be afraid to get help. Don't be afraid to get better. April 14th of 2017 will be 3 years since I tried to kill myself, and tomorrow, April 1st, my little girl would have been 3. And even though she was conceived through rape, I still love her. And it's been 3 years. And right now you're sitting there thinking it's never going to get better, but I promise you it does eventually. It may not be soon, but it does get better. So yes, I got raped at 14. And I got pregnant at 14. And I had miscarriage at 14. And then I tried to kill myself at 14. And it all sucked a lot. But I made it through. And you can too. You can make it through whatever you're going through. And I'm sorry this video was all over the place, and I'm sorry I was such an emotional mess, but my goal was to help somebody. And so if you're watching this for a reason, I hope that it helped you. And I hope that some of my words, no matter what words it were or what I said, I hoped that it helped you in some way. If you're going through a miscarriage, don't let anybody tell you it's less than it is, because it sucks. And you're losing a baby. And that's hard, and you can grieve. You are allowed to grieve. And if you're going through pregnancy at 14 and you're scared and you don't think you can do it, you can do it. And if you can't, no matter what choice you make, you're going to be okay. And if you choose to raise that baby, you're going to be okay. And they turn into beautiful 2-year-olds that drive you crazy sometimes. But getting to raise them is the best thing that you will ever do. And if you've been through a rape, or you just went through one, and you think that it's your fault, it's not. I promise, it is not your fault. I swear to you, it's not your fault. And don't be scared to reach out to people and get help. Don't be afraid. Sorry, I just popped my thumb. Don't be afraid to see a therapist. Don't be afraid to tell the cops what happened. Don't be afraid to tell your parents, because they will be there for you. And if they're not there for you, tell your best friend, tell your grandma, tell your grandpa, tell your aunt, tell your uncle, tell whoever you're close to. Don't be afraid to open up. Don't be afraid to get help. And if you attempted suicide and you're still here, I'm so proud of you for not doing it again, and I'm proud of you for you to keep going. I'm so proud that you kept going after that, because it's traumatic and it's horrible, and maybe you don't think you deserved to live, but you did. You do deserve to live, and you are amazing and special, and I'm so glad you're still here. And if you're thinking that's the only way out and that's the only thing to do, I promise you it's not. And if you think that it's never going to get better because it's been horrible your whole life, I promise you, good is going to come. And if you are afraid to seek God and you're afraid to have a relationship with Jesus, don't be. Take that first step, and then He will meet you there. I don't know what note to end this on. I don't know how to end this video except to say that you will get through it. And sometimes life is hard and you never think it's gonna get better, but it does, and you're gonna get through it. And this is my story. This is what I've been through. So many people have been through things like this. People are all going through hard times, so just remember to be kind, because you never know what someone is going through. And I'm sorry I'm all over the place and kind of a mess. It just makes me really emotional. But if you're watching this right now, you clicked on this video for a reason. And I love you. And you are so important to me. And I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.